Welcome. Good evening to the 2025 Manitoba Band Association Westman Band Celebration Concert. My name is Barb Dowsett, band geek, and I am honored to be your MC this evening. Music is an agent of hope, which brings us together and helps us to heal. And in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that MBA activities take place on treaty territory. Today in Brandon, on Treaty 1 and 2, shared territory between Dakota Oyate, the Anishinaabe, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Today, many other Indigenous people call Brandon their home, including the Innu, Anishinaabe, Denisoulin, and Inuit. It is with sincere sentiment that we recognize the mistakes of our recent and distant past. In working towards a Canada that benefits us all, we commit to seeking a greater understanding of Canada's diverse cultural relationships through continued work with Indigenous communities. We commit to live in ways that honor and respect the treaties that were made on these territories. And we commit to stewarding the land in harmony for all who will come after us. Thank you for being here to support and celebrate the amazing musicians who have worked so hard to prepare for today's concert. Before we begin, please help everyone enjoy this experience by silencing your devices and turning down your screen brightness while you're viewing the digital program. We ask if you take any photos that you make sure your flash is turned off. We are taking photography and a video recording this evening, and so we will share those on social media next week. We are grateful for WCG-TV's support and partnership, and you'll be able to rewatch this evening's concert on their platform. The Manitoba Band Association Family of Festivals is celebrating 50 years of sharing and celebrating band music this year. This is a strong and valued Manitoba tradition that actually predates the Manitoba Band Association by 2 years. Earlier today, and again all day tomorrow, over 1,000 band students from across Westman and as far away as Selkirk, Oakbank, and Winnipeg will have had the opportunity to perform on this beautiful stage for audiences of their peers and friends and family as part of the expanded Level 1 Band Festival, a festival designed and dedicated to fostering and celebrating younger bands. We are tremendously grateful for funding for this expanded festival so that every band in the region has the opportunity to participate in this formative experience, and which also has made this evening's concert possible. So please help me extend an MBA thank you to the Whitehead Foundation for Western Manitoba. We would also like to thank Brandon University School of Music and the Brandon Schools Instrumental Music Association for their long-standing support and partnership that helps make this festival possible through the use of their wonderful facilities and equipment. You will also see in the digital program there are many other sponsors, partners, and supporters that make this experience possible, and we extend our gratitude to all of them. Okay, now for the music. We get to enjoy 3 incredible bands this evening. The ensemble on stage is the Brandon Grade 8 and 9 Wind Ensemble. We are grateful they're able to be here as our first guest ensemble and to share music with us today. This ensemble is co-directed by Graydon, Cramer, and Erin Dodds, and is comprised of students who wanted more of a challenge than the opportunity to work together with band students from across the division. Let's give our Brandon Grade 8 and 9 Wind Ensemble a warm welcome.
Our first piece this evening was Ancient Voices by Michael Sweeney. Ancient Voices conjures up images of a long time ago, before our modern instruments were created, and use the original instrument, our voice, to create its unique soundscape. Waterdrops Come Spring is a beautiful, lyrical piece by Richard Saucedo. This piece creates a tender moment that evokes the beauty of nature's as the season turns into spring. This piece, you will hear solos from our trumpet players, myself and Kylie, as well as a flute solo by Andrew. The Brandon Grade 8-9 Wind Ensemble will end our performance with One for All for One, by Carol Brittin Chambers. This phrase is one of the Book of the Three Musketeers and is used as a character's motto. It means that the group will support each other of the individual members, and the members will support the group. This theme works well in the band room as well, as we are all working towards common goal.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the stage, the Brandon Community Band, under the direction of Anna Penno. You can read more about Anna in our digital program. Community bands are such a wonderful part of the fabric of bands across Manitoba. Thousands of band students graduate from Manitoba's high schools each year, and the opportunity to continue making music all through life and to build community with musicians of all ages is an incredible experience. Please help me welcome the Brandon Community Band and conductor Anna Penno.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to perform for you tonight. Our Brandon Community Band is currently in its 19th season, and this has been such a highlight for us to have the opportunity to play here this evening. We'd like to thank the Manitoba Band Association and the Whitehead Foundation for all the organization and the funding and the work that went into this evening. And we thank you so much, both to the other ensembles for the opportunity to share the stage with you and for the chance to play with such a supportive and musical audience. So thank you so very much.
The first piece performed by the Brandon Community Band was Rocketship by Kevin Day. Their next selection is best introduced by the words of the composer, Kelijah Dunton, in his preface to the piece. This work was inspired by the beauty of a small town, Stillwater, Minnesota. This town has a big lake in its center, and out of everyone's backyard it could be seen. During the winter, the very top of the lake freezes and creates this tranquil effect that could not be seen but heard. When stepping out into your backyard, you'd see this frozen mass stuck into place and completely unmovable. But if you listened closely, you could hear that the water underneath continued to flow. Why is this important? We as people forget sometimes we are so much more deep and vast beneath our hard surfaces. We work, we go to school, we take care of our families, we deal with the struggles of the day-to-day routine militantly. But if we just take a moment to listen within ourselves, we discover our passions, our longings, and our belonging. Stillwater by Kelijah Dunton. First Suite in E-flat by English composer Gustav Holst is considered a core piece of repertoire for wind band musicians to experience. Though the piece is intended to be presented as a full 3 movements work, the Brandon Community Band has chosen to share the first and last movements this evening. The first movement is the chaconne, begins with the famous opening melody in the low brass and woodwind, and it is shared throughout the band in various instrumentations and variations and builds to a grand finale. The band is going to just pause very briefly and then go right into the march, the last movement, to conclude their performance tonight. First Suite in E-flat, Gustav Holst. Continuing on with our celebration of band in Manitoba, we are thrilled to welcome Manitoba's only full-time professional military band, the Royal Canadian Air Force Band, and Director of Music, Capt Devin Sloos. Before I hand the mic and stage over to them, I want to highlight two of their members, Sergeant Kevin James on euphonium, who grew up just a hop, skip, and a jump from here in Verdun, where he was a student in their school band program and graduated from Brandon University School of Music right here. And also saxophonist Richard Monson, Master Warrant Officer. Another BU grad. So please welcome the Royal Canadian Air Force Band.
Now it's on. Woohoo! Man, I gotta tell you, it is an incredible opportunity and experience here to be making music amongst you today. I don't know about you, but every time I stand in front of that ensemble and I cue the downbeat, I'm always amazed by the sound that comes out of this group. It always seems a little bit like an optical illusion. Like, you see so many chairs, like, oh, they're missing chairs. They must be missing some sound. And as soon as they hit the downbeat, it's like, whoa! I find myself like I always get plastered to the back of the seat or almost lose my footing on the back of the podium. We are the Royal Canadian Air Force Band. We consist of 28 of some of the most talented musicians in Canada, and we make music on behalf of the Royal Canadian Air Force. We're located in the prairies as well in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is so incredible that we could be here in Brandon. And our next piece is going to be sounds a lot like music from The Incredibles, if you like that. Music from The Incredibles, but a notch higher. This is Boomba by Michael Berry. So for those of you that don't know, Master Corporal Keishan Joan that we had stand up there was playing the E-flat clarinet. So switching between instruments to instrument to instrument to instrument is already really a difficult challenge, but the E-flat clarinet stands out amongst all the instruments, kind of punctures through that texture. So the fact that he nailed it as well as he did speaks to his musicianship as well as his ability to master such a difficult instrument. Let's embarrass him with another round of applause. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, but my goal, as always, is to make sure that my speaking only fills up the time it takes the percussionist to get ready. Okay, so if I start talking beyond that, you go like, we are not here to listen to you speak, we are here to listen to music, and believe me, I hear you. We want to go to bed on time, hey? Got school in the morning? We have a festival to continue running. We don't have time to listen to me, hear me talk. And they're ready, so we're going to move on to Only Light, which is going to bring the tone down a little bit, give us a chance to reflect and think about what it means to find a difficulty seeing the good in a bad situation, and sometimes difficulty seeing bad in a good situation. Here we go. What a musical journey this has been so far. This next piece I'm particularly excited about for 3 reasons. The one is because it's based on a music score by John Williams called Viktor's Tale, about a guy who got stuck in an airport. For a man who works for a form of aviation, that the movie is particularly compelling. The second one is that Viktor's Tale is going to be played by Viktor Danilov. Yeah, let's hear it for Sergeant Viktor Danilov. And lastly, it's an opportunity to also recognize what Sergeant Danilov has done over his time here in Winnipeg, and also recognize the fact that it's coming to an end, actually. Sergeant Viktor Danilov has been here separated from his family for quite a long time, and is finally going to get to go move back to Halifax to be part of his family. So this is an opportunity to say musically thank you. It's also an opportunity to say, to musically give him the opportunity to demonstrate what his individual value has been while he's been here. Show his individual form of excellence by showcasing it by playing way more notes in a short period of time than I can do. So without further ado, let's welcome Sergeant Danilov. Here we go. Now you're in luck, because this is the last time you're going to have to listen to me speak. So this is great. So we were like, what would be the best way to finish our performance? What do people want to hear? Because the reality is that we in the Royal Canadian Air Force don't really work for ourselves. We don't really work for the unit that we're a part of. We work for the people. You know, our job is to make music that inspires. Our job is to make music that allows us to think beyond ourselves, to commemorate opportunities, to elevate things that are important for all Canadians. And so we think we need to have music that is relevant for all Canadians, right? So what's this next one going to involve? Well, the first movement is super fast. It's going to blow my socks off. Second movement is a lot like chamber music. It's going to be like, you're going to hear all the different intricacies of sound. And we spoke about musical diversity, like instrument when we were glazing Master Corporal Keishan Cho in here and saying how impressive he was. There's a whole nother level. So how many of you here play an instrument that you see here on the stage? Yeah? Who also, in addition to playing that at the highest level, also plays electric guitar? Yeah, there's a few? Okay, so our French horn player over here, you may see that there's a guitar right next to him. Why would that be in a wind ensemble setting? Well, that's because we don't have a harpist. And we thought, and I was like, well, how are we going to solve this problem? And Corporal Gagnon was like, well, I play guitar like nobody's business. I was like, okay, so we gave it a go, and it sounded amazing. So that you're going to hear that in the second movement. Third movement is going to seem like you're at a rock concert, but the wind ensemble rock concert, which is incredible. And fourth movement, if you didn't blow your socks off from the speed of the first one, it's going to happen in the fourth one. So this is our last piece, 4 movements by Oliver Waespi. This is Divertimento.
While the musicians are coming on stage for the mass band finale, I would like to acknowledge some of the folks who've made this evening possible. Thank you to all of the school band and private music teachers of everyone who performed this evening, and also those participating in the Level 1 Band Festival this week. Yes. I'd like to thank the Manitoba Band Association's Festival Committee members and the many volunteers who have or are helping behind the scenes, making this festival and our concert this evening possible. This is National Volunteer Week, and volunteers contribute in countless ways to everything the Manitoba Band Association is able to do, and we are immensely grateful for all of them. Yes. Thank you also to MBA's staff team, Kim Pelletier, the Programs and Membership Coordinator, and Executive Director Brent Johnson for all that you guys do. Thank you again to Brandon University School of Music and the Brandon Schools Instrumental Music Association for their support. Thank you to the WMCA for being our hosts in this beautiful facility. Thank you to all the sponsors, funders, and partners listed in your program, and especially to the Whitehead Foundation for Western Manitoba for their support of this event. And lastly, thank you to all of you for being here and supporting band in Manitoba. You're more than welcome to come back tomorrow, enjoy more bands as hundreds of young band musicians share what they've been learning this year. So can't think of a better way to end this than with the mass band finale conducted by Capt Devin Sloos. Please rise if you are able. Thank you for coming. Good night.